this down because Ferdinand, how many of you, first of all, are here because you actually knew Ferdinand in some manner, just from driving through or whatever? A lot of you. I've been surprised as I prepared for this to how many people I've talked to who didn't know what I was talking about. But you know, it's 30 years since Ferdinand passed away, and 32. And, you know, that's not so surprising. But the title here, those words, his life and legend. A legend? You know, how can somebody become a legend? Ferdinand is a legend, and we're gonna look at that. The reason we are doing this is because of what's on this table over here. We've got 5 big, thick scrapbooks, and the Yosemite Archives, Yosemite National Park Archives over in El Portal, have 12 big, thick scrapbooks that were donated after Ferdinand's death by Floretta. How many of you knew Floretta? Anybody here? No? Okay, she was Ferdinand's good friend. And yeah, she's gone too. So, okay, let's see if this works. He says, he pushed the button and nothing happened, Rich. Am I pushing the wrong button? Ah, thank you. Thank you for the permission. So, Ferdinand, for 39 years, worked in Yosemite National Park, and for 38 of those years, he worked at the gate at Tioga Pass. And it, as you'll see, people came to think of what their experience going through that gate as Ferdinand made it happen is something very special. Come on in. There's more chairs. Just walk right in front of me, please, over here, and we'll get you seated. Yeah, don't hit the cord. Okay, amazing turnout. So this is why we have these scrapbooks, and they sit in the archives, down in El Portal. And I thought it's time to get them out and see what's there. And I learned so many things, and I hope I'll show you some of this tonight that I didn't know other than from the experience of driving up to the gate and experiencing what Ferdinand had to say. There's a whole bunch of stuff we're going to see about his life, because we have things like his application to work for the National Park Service, where he had to, explain all of his background and stuff. And that's all part of the story. Now, it's still not working. Did you do something to take? Stop some video people who are. Okay, this is going to be interesting. So this is taken as a first step right off of the application that Ferdinand made in to start work in 1954, and it's his really background in education. So Ferdinand. As you say, he graduated from Sacred Heart College High School. He ended up getting a degree, bachelor's degree from the University of San Francisco, and then later came back and got a master's and was able to teach school, PE teacher, in San Francisco. And his focus, the thing that I highlighted here, was aquatics. Talk about that a little bit. Born in San Francisco, 1917. So today, Ferdinand would be 108 years old. He was raised by Albertinian Dominican sisters at an orphanage in Ukiah. And then he graduated from the Sacred Heart High School, got his bachelor's degree, and when he graduated, that's a significant year, 1941. That's when the United States entered World War II. And so I got a couple pictures here of the building at the orphanage and also the university in San Francisco. So here he joined the Marines right out of school. And there he is in this group picture of his battalion that had been training down in down in San Diego. And he had quite an experience, as most of the soldiers did, of course. And he was in the Pacific, where he served. I'm going to put a bunch of these small little paper pages up, and then I'm going to show you what's really on there in the next slide. So hang on there. But in this application, this summary was part of his application to the Park Service about explaining what he'd done during the war. And here's some detail from it. So he, by the latter years of the war, he was involved in the final invasions across the Pacific, including Okinawa, 3 months and 7 days there. He talks about here. He went to Japan in the initial occupation that happened after the war was over. And then there's a break. If you look at the years, he's in these 1950, 51. He came home, went to his job being a teacher, but when the Korean War started, he reenlisted and went off to Korea. And that's where he was wounded. He was with a group of soldiers where a grenade landed nearby. And this is important here. This is on his job application to the Park Service. I am not disabled. So, he had to make sure they knew that. So he was honorably discharged. This is his papers that said that he, did his duty in World War II. And this is what part of the stuff he went through to get certified to be a teacher in San Francisco. And this was actually, I think, this preliminary certificate was so he could be, what do they do with it? A teacher gets to go be part of a class, but they're not teaching it. They're doing their student teaching. I think that's what it was. He had two of these. Yeah, one was before Korea, and one was after he came back. And so, okay, so we're back to his application here, and notice he had been in this job now post Korea since October 52, and he was getting $14.70 a day, but he went all the way up to $15 a day as a teacher. And he wasn't looking to change that, but he wanted summer employment, like a lot of teachers have done over the years, especially interpreters, but others too, seasonal aides. And so here's the whole big application. When he applied to be a park ranger, a seasonal park ranger, but he was willing to be a historian or anything. Basically, and he was willing to work anywhere in the national park system, which I think is interesting. Now, I've heard from people, I haven't seen it in writing, that he was hoping for Sequoia, but he got hired, he got accepted, his application was accepted, and in 1954, he was assigned to the Tioga Pass Gate. And did something happen again? I need permission again. Please give me back. Thank you. I've been good. I would like permission. Okay. Okay, so here we are. And this illegible letter is got some detail in it. It's basically saying his reporting date, what to do to get there and how to do that. And before he shows up, he was required to purchase his own uniform. There's no mention of a uniform allowance, you guys. I'm looking over here. These are National Park folks who are working up there today. What a thing. And this is interesting too. His trousers cost more than his hat. That's not the case today, right? His hats are super expensive. But this is the regulation Stetson, belly color. Interesting way to describe that tan. Stiff brim, 4 3/8, and the flat brim hat, the symbol of park rangers. And so he had to buy all of this stuff, and they told him where to go to do it. Basically, a couple more items. He had to get his shoes, and they also wanted him to be ready to do rough work and have some clothing and boots and things to take care of that. And they sent him to a company in Merced. Is that company still selling uniform stuff? Here it is over here, the McGinnis Company in Merced. Anybody know? No? Oh, yeah. Anyway, and here's his salary range. This is for a half month. So he wrote it here. $224. It should be 244 and 24. He wrote that wrong. That was what he made a month. And they took $4 biweekly. They took $8 out for his quarters. So, it was interesting. It hasn't changed a bit. So, okay. So the years start to roll by, and he comes every summer, and he's starting to do his thing, and he's in love with this place. Everybody will tell you that. By 1968, 14 years after he started, he was receiving, he was now the ranger in charge at the gate. And he was a GS5, I believe. And he never got permanent status, is always seasonal. And this was a September 68 report. It's nearing the end of the season, right? They've got to get some things ready for winter that's coming. And so, first of all, he had this whole thing about that he never, it was part of his persona all his life was the speed of the cars coming to the gate. He wanted, he was hoping to get some better signage to control them, slow them down. And then he goes into what they need to do before they leave, and he's got the wood supply ready. Do you guys still do that? Yeah, Foster's nodding over here. So they got the wood ready for the winter folks who are going to be up there, and also and stacked in a firebox, but stacked under the front porch is wood for the front office, and they're going to get that all done, and there's even more wood in the back. So that one of those duties you may not have realized about what they had to do. So meanwhile, he's still teaching in the rest of the year over in San Francisco. That didn't last his entire career because eventually he moved away from that. But for decades he continued to do that. PE teacher, specialty in aquatics and swimming, and one of the articles I found in the scrapbook described how when he became a ranger, he would go jog in the morning to Tioga Lake, which isn't too far away. It's up here's the gate to the pass is up here, and he'd swim across the lake and back, and then jog back, and that was his morning exercise. Do you guys still do this, right? Yeah. I'm so glad you guys are here. Yeah. Anyway, um, so and he started to get be noticed and be praised for all of the good work that he did in the style, the way he did it. So, and this is a few more years have gone by. It's 1971 now, and he was given $200 as a monetary award. Do they still do that? Not that much. I would hope they did, but this was, some special thing, and because his performance was above average, and they thought he deserved this. So I thought that was, and of course, all this stuff got saved. I don't save everything, although we have a bunch of scrapbooks. Janet saves most of the stuff, but yeah, it's just amazing. And you know what? As a historian, somebody associated with a museum, if people in this modern day doing everything digitally don't find a way to save it so historians can do what we're doing tonight, that'd be sad. So anyway, okay, so in 1974, he starts a correspondence relationship with Horace Albright. Who's Horace Albright? Somebody? Yeah, I've got to have that on the screen in a moment. Horace Albright was the assistant to the first director of the National Park Service, Mather, and then he took over as the second director, and he actually grew up in Bishop. He's an Eastern California, Eastern Sierra guy. But anyway, he drove through on the way to something, coming from the east, going down to the valley to something he had to go to. And afterwards, he wrote this really nice letter. And he said, truthfully, you were the best park entrance ranger I'd ever seen in action. I tried to compliment you on your dealing with park visitors going into the park and coming out. Your public relations activities were superb, and the speed with which you moved, which you would later be criticized for, the hospitality you extended to the visitors, and the efficiency you showed at every turn were both exciting and pleasing to me. This is from the guy Horace Albright. If you know anything about the National Park Service, it's a very special name. They exchanged Christmas cards and various letters. I found 6 letters. They were all from Horace. I don't have anything that Ferdinand wrote to Horace Albright, but just to make sure, for those of you who didn't know who Horace was, this is a picture of him in uniform. He died in 1987, so this correspondence was in the 70s. And another letter said, this one was in 75. He was in Bishop, and he learned at Ferdinand had had a heart attack, and it had been taken down to the hospital down in the valley. And he was, expressing his concern and his hope that it all would go well. 1975, Ferdinand wouldn't retire till 1993. So he made it through this heart attack and went back to work. And also just, anyway, just another nice letter from Horace Albright. One more here. In this one, I just highlighted this because I loved it. I like Rangers. I wish I'd started out as one. He started the whole agency, but whatever. But over a year ago, the director made me honorary chief ranger of the Park Service. And so now I'm one of you after all. And yeah, so look at the address, general delivery, or possibly care of the chief ranger, but to Ranger Ferdinand Castillo.
The highest through road in California reopened last month, and since then, thousands of visitors have passed through into Yosemite National Park. Traditionally, the pass is cleared of snow and rock by Memorial Day, but this year's heavy winter delayed the opening until June 31st, the latest opening date many can remember. Of course, you could always ask Ferdinand.
So your money goes back to help run the parks. He took, I understand, $100,000 to reopen this road from the winter snow. But it's all your money, and it just balances what you borrowed, what we borrowed.
Well, we do the same thing several times a year and over Trail Ridge Road in Colorado.
Trail Ridge Road, and they have longer roads and higher elevations than we have, right?
Well, it's well taken care of.
Sure it is. And how are the youngsters doing?
Very good.
Swell.
Having a good time.
They're beautiful.
Thank you. Have a nice day now.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
For the past 30 years, Ferdinand Castillo has run the entrance station here, making him as much of a fixture in the park as the granite domes. From June till October, Ferdinand is the first person thousands of tourists meet on their way to Yosemite Valley. Now, if you've met Ferdinand, you'll remember him. And if you're visiting from a foreign country, you're in for a special treat.
But do move the car, please, between the white line and the berm. How you doing, sir? Just now coming in?
No.
You're not, huh?
Just passing through.
Oh, you from Europe?
Yes.
Wonderful. I'll be right with you, sir. I make up the... From where do you come in Europe, sir?
Germany.
Germany. Dankeschön. Auf Wiedersehen. Schönen Tag. Here's a little information in German. That'll be $3. $3.
Can I pay with this one?
Say it once more. Sure. Anything. Here we are.
The only dollar I've been left was...
Wonderful. Watch the deal on the road. Have a nice time, sir. There you are. Have a nice time now, huh? I came here as an adult, and I wish I could get that same feeling I had when I first came here. I was in a bus, and there were some French people aboard, and one said, magnifique. It was just, so beautiful. And they come from all over the world, all these people. More Germans come, but I feel badly. I wish the East Germans could come. I wish the Russians would allow those people to come and see this. See.
This is your 30th summer up here.
Yeah.
What makes you want to get up every morning and go to work?
Well, like I say, it's just the scenery, for one thing, is just beautiful. The air is clean until the big buses come in and spew with their black smoke, and diesels do the same thing. But it's just people. People are just wonderful. They give you experience like that gentleman over there, and you yourself. And it's more the socializing. Like I've been asked many times, aren't you lonely? And I'm not lonely, because of the nature itself, the vastness of it, and the variety of it, and I don't even know the names of many of the flowers and things like that. And as that song goes, how they grow I do not know, and but it's beautiful. You can't ignore them. You can't. The poor guys, when they come back, they say, well, somebody waved me through. See, like, well, I'm doing all this, I look at that beautiful curtain. See it back there? It's almost like an aurora borealis, but it's in the south.
I'm going on 66, and I'm going straight through to Manteca.
Good. You just say golden age here, as long as one person in the car is 62 years of age and over.
She's 63, be 64 in September.
That's marvelous. Hey, you have a nice time. Just say golden age here. Every national park, every national monument.
Where do you get the golden age?
Pardon?
Where you get the golden age?
7 miles from here is a visitor center. You'll get one there, but it's not the card, it's you. So if you lose the card, don't worry about it. Just say golden agent. You don't look it.
Oh, I see.
You don't look it. You
don't
sure?
see my driver's license?
No. I take your word, but you don't look it.
Thank you.
Sure. New Jersey. You're from Bayonne? How you doing? Europe?
Europe.
France?
German.
Germany, good. There you are. Something in German. People are always asking about bears. You know, can we see a bear? And then the thing that's kind of funny is the sign on the bathroom, it says bear habitat, and there are a line of people waiting to get in, waiting for the bear to come out. No, that's the truth. Like yesterday, the man came, he said, I was waiting for that bear to come out. The only bear is a bare butt.
As you can see, Ferdinand loves his job. He's got a nice view from the office window, meets hundreds of new people every day, and gets half the year off. But his biggest pleasure is sharing the special beauty of Yosemite with friends. So it's nice to know that if you come through Tioga Pass later this summer, or next year, or who knows, not for another 10 years, the mountains are still magnifique, and Ferdinand will be there.
So Ferdinand, one of the other things he did, which was beyond his regular, gate duties, was interpretation. He would lead. He was part of the interpretive schedule, and he would lead guided walks from the gate out. Mostly when we did it, we walked up the beginning of the Dana Trail, and saw things like he's showing people here, and this. This is a carving that he always took people to see because this is the Basque sheep herders did this in one of the lodgepole pines there off the trail, and I found this in the scrapbook. If you've ever wondered what was inside that cabin there, right by the gate, and what goes on in there, I had a conversation with one of the people who worked with Ferdinand and lived with him in the living conditions there. His name was Bob Lammerden, and this is in the 60s, and they put 4 people in there as their housing. And it's just, so here you are, you come in the front gate, front door, and you've got a kitchen, a bedroom for up to 4 people, I guess, and bathroom. And Bob, when I talked to him on the phone, I wish he'd sent me some pictures, but he really just fell in love with this guy as a friend. And he had this great story about getting on Bob's motorcycle, coming to this town, to Lee Vining, down the big hill, doing whatever they did, trying to go back up the hill, and his motorcycle couldn't handle the 2 of them on it, and Ferdinand had to get off and walk, and went faster than the motorcycle did. A little motorcycle. So this is 1981 now. 27. I went a little back a couple years. I realized he received this prestigious Yosemite Award presented by the park superintendent at the time, and I wanted you to realize that. David, where are you? David Strong. How old were you when you were taking pictures for the paper? 16, David says. Really? Okay. So this is his byline, and this was the county paper at the time. I think we only had the Mono Herald. We didn't have the Mammoth Times and the Sheet and all those yet. But anyway, I'm glad you're here, David. If you have stories after I get done here, we'll jump in. He was honored in 1984, I think this is, 84, by the CHP. He'd been for years, as needed. He'd been reporting accidents and emergencies and plane crash not too far from the gate, and it happened before this happened. And in this article, it quotes him as saying, he runs the entrance, the entrance fee was $3, and the way to pronounce that word is entrance because of how he felt about the park and that part of the park. Your later National Geographic had this article about Yosemite. A lot of controversies going on at the time about plans. That sounds familiar. Anyway, this picture was the lead in the article. And he would sometimes serenade. Says he met up to 2,000 cars a day. No entrance is prettier. The key word here is enjoy and watch out for rocks. And I like this. In the Herald Review became the Review, and in '85, this cartoonist says what it basically says there is that God needed to figure out where to put Tioga Pass, and so Ferdinand was already there, and he just put it there by Ferdinand. Ferdinand been there a long time, I've been, okay, 54 to 85. And another letter of appreciation from the chief park ranger, and basically the praise that he was getting is the epitome of the helpful, friendly, courteous professional. And we add our thanks and want him to know that they appreciated him. So then in 1991, now we're jumped 6 more years, something very special happened in relation to old timers up there in that part of the park. We've got in this picture Ferdinand on the left, Carle Smith, and Nick Fiore. And they had all had many decades of work at this time in the park. Nick worked for the concessionaire Curry Company. He was the youngest of these 3 at the time. Carle was at this point 88 years old, and he was being honored that year as the oldest of the national park rangers in the system. And so Ferdinand's a little bit younger, but let's see, this is 1991. In just a few more years, he was going to pass away. So he was 74, I think, in 1991. And what they're hugging Carle is because Carle was being honored. And this article has this neat phrase that their best day of the year arrives with the opening of the Trans-Sierra Tioga Pass Road, and the worst comes when it's fall closure. And Smith was really being honored right about then. And one of the things they asked him to do is explained in this long handwritten card. It's just the size of a little postcard, but it's from Carle Smith to Ferdinand. And he's explaining that he had been asked to go back 1991 in June and present a large check from the National Park Foundation to the Park Service so that they could establish the National Park Ranger Museum inside Yellowstone National Park. It's not a really big thing. It's in a cabin. I looked it up. Any of you ever been there? Yeah. And it basically does, covers a lot of the history of this kind of work and these people, these special people. But what's special about this and their relationship is Carle was allowed, his way was being paid to Washington, D.C. to do this presentation. And he was allowed to have one guest and have their way paid. And he wanted it to be Ferdinand, but Ferdinand had to work. And he says right here, he says, I also knew that you are and will be on the job at Tioga Pass. It would be impossible to pull you off for that. So anyway, they were very good friends. So we're getting near the end of this part of the story. Did I lose it again?
Maybe.
Take me off? Or no? Well, here we go. Okay, couple of other things. Tioga Pass Resort was operating back for all of those years. Hasn't been for a while, but it's getting close to reopening, I hear. And that was a close place for the staff to go down the hill, and nice little restaurant there. And on the menu in 2013, Ferdinand's name, you could get a Ferdinand melt, the melted cheddar and jack cheese and grilled sourdough wheat. That was the Ferdinand sandwich, because he was a regular visitor, obviously. And more than that, they knew what he wanted in the way of coffee. So inside of the scrapbooks, there was more than one Christmas card sent to him during the off season, like this one, that included coffee, 2 sugars, and 2 creamers. That was the order for the standing order down at TPR, at Tioga Pass Resort. And people liked this whole text over here. It's about, people just enjoyed asking him what he wanted, and it always was the coffee. And at the TPR, apparently they knew what he wanted, and they would, fix him up. Not with instant coffee, I'm sure. It was coffee with these extras. But it was really amazing that people got so into this. There are people in this room that used to buy him sourdough bread whenever they came up through Bishop. Here you are. Yes. There are, things like that. That's what people wanted to get along. And talking about how things got to him and all these cards, when you look at there's just so many letters and photos. Look at this address. The rear gate, Tioga Pass, to the Indian park ranger on the Lee Vining side in California. No zip code. No zip code. One thing I found in all of this stuff is that it was something described in an article somebody wrote. He was known to invite people who happened to be there at the right time when they were taking down the flag to sing the national anthem with him. He would sing, and I think that's cool. And I wanted this to run. This is music. So there's a guy named Tom Bopp who has worked for 40 years in Yosemite as a he's singing over in Wawona, playing the piano, and
when it's twilight down the trail,
I'll shut up.
the world is lying in dreams, and the ripple of the streams is my song. When it's twilight on the trail, and I rest once more. My ceiling is the sky, and the ground on which I lie is my floor. Never ever have a nickel in my jeans. Never ever have a debt to pay. Still I understand what real content is.
Every time I would drive through, he would have slept and that one line from the song that he knew Ferdinand loved, Twilight on the Trail. And Ferdinand would lean out, according to Tom, and sing that next line. I think I heard that Tom Bopp may be on the Zoom tonight. I hope so. Thank you, Tom. That's from YouTube. Tom Bopp has his stuff that he performs on YouTube. So anyway, I'm glad we got that in. So 1993 in December is when Ferdinand passed away. He had finished his last season for the Park Service, not at the gate, but down at Hetch Hetchy. And that December is when he died. And this is from the superintendent saying how many visitors he was a part of Yosemite. Those are the years. But there was a memorial service held right here in Hess Park the following summer. I don't know, any of you find yourself in this picture? Do you recognize who this is right here? This ranger with the hat, the glasses? It's Carle Smith in the front row. Carle outlasted him. Yeah, he lived another year. The following years, in 95 is when he passed away. So anyway, a nice memorial service. One of the special things that happened is that, as mentioned here and highlighted at the bottom, the gathering went up to the pass and watched an airplane circle and scatter his ashes up there. And let's talk about the controversy about him having to go work at Hetch Hetchy. They think he greeted personally over 1 million park visitors in his 38 years at Tioga Pass. And this was the program, Ferdinand says, that day for the memorial service. And but I like there's some words here that he had the respect of all those fortunate to have made his acquaintance. His concern not only for his fellow man, but for all creatures dwelling in the high country earned him the trademark as caretaker of Tioga Pass, a distinction that will live forever. And then I just copied a few. There was dozens and dozens of these, at his memorial service, things written down just to say something that was special in the memories of various people, including Janet, Dave, Nick, and Ryan Carle. Janet wrote this, and she touches on something that was part of his persona, part of why he is, something very special, and that was weather reports. Have any of you heard the story about one of the measurements of wind velocity that Ferdinand had, it was special to him, was with rocks. If it was a 1 rock day, nice pretty calm breeze, that the rocks were used to hold the signs in place at the gate. He had 4 levels. At the level 4, it took 4 rocks to hold down the signs in a gale. And yeah, so they're nodding their heads. It never blows up there, huh? Yeah, okay. So a number of people in these things that are in the scrapbooks talked about how they appreciated his ability to read the weather. After all those years, he should have had that ability. I put this in because that's Mount Dana. The Lion's Head feature down on the slopes of Dana at one point after his death, there was talk about naming it for Ferdinand. They could not get that accomplished. It was a congressional action, but it was a great idea. And when I go by, I think of Ferdinand. So the Mona Lake Committee puts on the Tioga Pass Run every year, and it is dedicated to the memory of Ferdinand. And as part of this history, he would always cheer on the finishers as they came in. He was a PE guy, you know. He was into that. And I want to read 2 short poems. Dave Marquardt didn't get in the room, did he? No. Okay. This was published in the Yosemite Association newsletter the following fall. Each spring when the pass opens, we will remember how you welcomed us into your upland kingdom, guardian of ground squirrels, rock lover, sky lover, coyote man, the joker, who kept an eye on the way the wind blew and always told us not to trample the meadows. We will remember you, Ferdinand. We will keep the faith. We will climb the good climb always, and we will not step on the flowers. One more, final thoughts. Now, this is from Mona Basin, what's the word? A long time Mona Basin resident, Jan Simas. Jan's place is where the DeChambeau Foundation is headquarters, as that was when she passed away, that was created. Anyway, she wrote this. Dear Tioga Pass, you had the man for 38 years, so we've no right to shed our tears. You had his love, but the trouble was we had our love too. He loved your moods, he loved your tarns, he talked to your flowers, he told us yarns. He tended your needs with those daily deeds, but he tended us too. Dana sails a banner and Gibbs nods its head to their old friend who will never be dead. Still the flowers there will receive his care, and we who loved him will too, by Jan Simas. Thank you for joining us tonight. Let us leave that up. I love that portrait. It doesn't have the hat on. Almost every picture of Ferdinand has the hat on. But boy, that's a great shot. So who would like to say anything? Keep it short. What time is it? It's 7:15. We promised people usually we're done by 7:30-ish, but I'm willing to stay longer even. But David, did you have anything you wanted to throw in about? I just learned from David Strelnick tonight that Ferdinand would come down to Marty and to his family house here in Lee Vining about once a month and have dinner.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. It's great to see you. Good to be here. Good to be home. No, just a couple. I would say 2 things. One, strawberry pie was his favorite, just so you know. And my mom was quite the cook, so that was top of the list. The other thing I would say, a personal reflection. We knew him pretty well, as did many people, right? One thing I love that I try to roll forward about his firmness in tending for the flowers and all was that it was always done with an educational message, even if he was disciplining you, right? Even if he was pushing back, it was always welcome. Isn't this beautiful? Don't you dare step on it, right? Kind of thing. And it was powerful. So I guess I'd just say that sentiment.
Well, anybody? Anyone else? I got sort of chewed on at least once by him for approaching that building too fast.
I just want to say I worked at Yosemite for a long time, and I remember that he had a butterfly graveyard right next to the road there, across from the kiosk towards the cabin, and he didn't want you to walk on that either.
Thank you. A butterfly graveyard. Interesting. I had never heard that. Hold it very close to your mouth.
Yeah. Hello, 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 hello. My name is Dr. Julia Parker. Coast, Miwok, Pomos are my tribes. I've been a member of the Federal Indians of Great Rancheria. I've spent 55 years in the National Park Service. And every time I go to that park today, tears come in my eyes to know that thousands of people have visited that beautiful, beautiful valley with its hanging waterfalls like lace curtains in your kitchen. The sound of the river and the water flowing, just so nice to know that we have this beautiful place that we can all go to see. I'm here with my daughter, and she takes me around, and I think she likes it. Lucy Parker is her name. Thank you, and this is a wonderful tribute to our good friend Ferdinand. My husband always say to him, I shouldn't say the words, but he would say, God damn it, now what are you doing today to the people?
Hello, everyone, and we're really excited about coming. We saw the flyer, and I go, Mom, we're going to go see Ferdinand. But I'm Lucy Parker, Julia's daughter, and I was born and raised in Yosemite. I'm from the Southern Sierra Miwok, Paiute, Pomo and Coast Miwok, following my mom's footsteps as a basket maker. And I knew Ferdinand since I was a little kid because my dad, when he would come over here, we were little kids riding over when the Tioga Pass was all windy road. And we come over here deer hunting. My dad had deer hunt with all his relatives here. We were little kids in the car looking out and happy to come to the east side. And we'd always see Ferdinand, and he was always stopping and waving at us, and he was so happy. And he got me to do the Tioga Pass run because I used to run in Yosemite. So I did that. And he was my coach, and he was my coach for the baseball team. We had a Park Service ladies team called the Calamity Klutzes, and we were the old people over the hill, but I was the youngest, and he said, you're the best player on this team. Get him going, Lucy. And he was our coach out there, and he was just a wonderful man, and he really enjoyed my parents, my dad, and my dad always teased he really enjoyed our family. So much blessings for Ferdinand, and I always remember you when we go through that gate, and he's always smiling and just never a dull moment, always happy with everyone. So oh
Well, something else? I'm looking at the Zoom questions or comments. Could you play the video again without Dave talking? Sorry about that. Okay, we will ignore the ones about the glitches. Jan Le Beauvoir, when I went to the Tioga Pass run in 88 or 89, Ferdinand asked to pose with me there at his kiosk. He later asked my friend and me to join him at his trailer after he got off work down in the valley or wherever. I can't remember. He hosted us well. Great memory. Thank you. Barbara, I've eaten that. What the heck are you talking about? What's that? The strawberry. Oh, okay. Thank you, Dave, for the great present. Okay. Are there any more? There says 4 new. I don't know.
Oh, another one from Lucy. Hang on.
Julie would like to do a blessing song for Ferdinand, her good friend.
Highland up. Yo ho, yo ho, day. Yo ho, yo ho, day. Highland up, Highland up, Highland up. Yo ho, oh, oh, oh.
And another one. Thank you to the Parker family.
Boy, talk about a tough act to follow. Back in '81, I was on the Indio Helitack crew, and we responded over to El Cap Meadows to do a search and rescue. And I got to fly over there going, including our crazy pilot took us over Half Dome like a roller coaster. And since I flew over there, I had to drive the truck on the way back. And going over Tioga, Ferdinand made it a point to stop me, and we were kind of bummed out because we didn't find the person that we spent several days looking for. But he thanked us and said, you guys did a good job, and thanks a lot for your time and what you did. And from that point on, every time I went over Tioga Pass and Ferdinand was there, he said, "You're the Forest Service guy. You can go in for free." You know.
Scary. I have one final story, and it's about the gate, coming through the gate on the way to New Lining many years ago in the early 1990s. I've talked to Ellen about this. We think it may or may not have been Ferdinand, but I was newly arrived in the US with a much more stronger British accent than I now have. And we came up to the gate, said hello and all the rest of it. And I said, "Do you know where I can go and get some water?" And the guy in the kiosk said, "What?" I said, "Do you know where I can go and get some water?" "What? Do you know where I can get some water?" "Just down the hill." Anyway, thanks again to Dave. And our next meeting is October the 6th. We miss out the September meeting because of the ghost tour. The speaker is Jack Fisher, talking about local World War II history of this area. So I give you a warm welcome to any of you who want to come and see that meeting in 2 months' time. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you, Dave. And Rich. Tickets are available over raffle tickets and also ghost tickets.